presented by Turkish Airlines.
Back in 2010, it was with this very envelope that Qatar was announced as a World Cup host. Now this week, the official countdown began, and there's still 5 years to go until 2022, but time passes very quickly when you're preparing to host a world-class sporting event. So join me, Semra Hunter, as we dive in to see how things are shaping up for the first World Cup here in the Middle East on this special edition of Beyond the Game, Qatar 2022. Throughout the show, we'll bring you interviews with one of the best footballers of all time and the main man behind Qatar 2022. Plus, we'll take an up-close look at the new stadiums under construction. But first, let's catch up on how things are shaping up 7 years after FIFA designated Qatar a World Cup host. 5 years from now, football fans from around the world will gather here in Doha. 2022 will be the year that Qatar hosts the World Cup, and it'll be the first for both the country and the region. So I need you guys to use a little bit of imagination because the stadium is still quite a long ways off from actually being finished. This is the Lusail Stadium. This is where the opening and the final matches are going to be played for the World Cup. This column right here represents the center circle where the ball will be kicked off for that opening match and also for the final match as well. And whenever it's completely finished, this area will be completely surrounded by 80,000 seats. So it's going to be quite spectacular, quite impressive, and exactly what organizers are hoping will bring a lot of joy to the fans who come here in 5 years' time. The aim is for all 8 venues to be finished by 2020. The Khalifa International Stadium has been upgraded and the Al Bayt Stadium is 65% done. There's a lot on the line, so the organizing committee is also thinking beyond the competition.
And Al Bayt Stadium in our city is a wonderful example how the stadium will serve the community in a daily basis, in a sport way, in a pleasure, in the clinics that they can have it in here, the hotel that will be in the market also in the Al Stadium. As you have seen, different elements, that's the needs of the community. But by doing that, we are sure that we're not going to end up with a white elephant.
But a white elephant may be the least of their worries. Despite the progress, the tiny Gulf state has faced criticism and a series of obstacles since it was named as a host nation back in 2010. And it's only gotten worse in the last few months. Rights groups and other critics have voiced serious concerns over alleged human rights violations of migrant construction workers. Reports of corruption and bribery continue to make headlines. And then there's the region's ongoing political crisis. A major diplomatic fallout with nearly all the country's neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the UAE, and also Egypt, has led to a blockade being imposed on Qatar. All trade routes by air, land, and sea have been cut off, isolating the peninsular nation. These neighbors accuse Qatar of supporting terrorism, but the Qataris deny that.
No, we are not worried about that because since 2010, a lot of rumors were been attacking Qatar, and it's been 7 years until now. Nobody managed to prove anything against Qatar.
And just last month, a top UAE official went as far as saying, if the World Cup goes out of Qatar, the crisis in Qatar will end, because the crisis was made to break it. An implication that the crisis has been fabricated as part of the ongoing battle for regional control, and that sport and politics, at least in this region, cannot be separated. Football fans will have to wait half a decade before that first whistle here in Doha, but as the challenges pile up, more people are questioning whether this tiny Gulf state will be able to pull off the biggest football event on the planet. Someone who's fully confident this event will go ahead as planned is Hassan Al-Thawadi, Secretary General of what's called the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy. I sat down with him to discuss the serious issues Qatar still faces and how the competition's organizing body is moving forward despite a diplomatic crisis in the region.
Well, let me start off by saying, our vision was always that this is a World Cup that is dedicated to the Middle East and the people of the Middle East and the Arab world. And based on that, we've committed to delivering on those promises and that vision that we promised from the very beginning. No doubts we've opened opportunities for our neighboring nations to contribute to developing the World Cup. unfortunately, as a result of the illegal unilateral action taken by a number of these nations, we haven't been able, or they have stopped participating in these issues or in the delivering of the World Cup. Nevertheless, other nations have stepped up and have increased their contribution and their partnership with us. And I have to say, in many ways, it's actually been a revelation, and it's been a breath of fresh air, because we've seen much more engagement as well from other nations. Having said that, we still are committed to a Middle Eastern World Cup and an Arab World Cup. We are still committed for a World Cup that offers, that its benefits cascades to the people of our region. And accordingly, every project we do, whether it's a legacy project, whether it's preparations operationally for the World Cup, or whether it's project and infrastructure projects, we're committed to ensuring that there's a legacy beyond it. Having said that, the progress so far over the last 7 years has been fantastic. It's been in accordance with our schedule. All projects are in accordance with schedule. We launched our first stadium earlier this year, five and a half years ahead of the World Cup in 2022. Next year we will be launching 2 stadiums as well. And I'm very proud to say that FIFA has actually considered, and looking at our progress, FIFA has actually commented that we are ahead of schedule in a lot of the elements that we have to deliver on. So I have to say I'm very, very proud of where we've gone to 7 years. Nevertheless, we have 5 years to go.
So there have been reports coming out recently saying that this whole crisis has been fabricated as a way to get Qatar to lose the World Cup or to give it up. Obviously, this is a very complex situation, but do you believe that there's any truth to that?
I don't have the details. I've seen, unfortunately, reports that have indicated that the World Cup has been a target, or has been targeted. And commenting on that, I'd just like to say that I'm shocked and disappointed at the fact that the World Cup could be a target. We have always maintained, and we have always promised that this World Cup is for the region, and it's an inclusive World Cup that the benefit should, as I said, cascade to the people of the region. And therefore, for the World Cup to be targeted in any way, I think sometimes it's the saying is cutting your nose to spite your face. I think some people are actually shooting themselves in the foot in doing that, and it is a shame. Having said that, our commitment to the people of the Middle East and the Arab world is still ongoing, and we're still continuing on those projects, and we're still continuing on delivering an amazing World Cup that the benefits will be felt beyond 2022 for the people of the Middle East and the Arab world.
So there have been reports and criticisms also talking about worker welfare and human rights as it pertains to these workers. What's your take on this? What is your comment as to some of the reforms as well that have been put in place going forward?
I believe the issue of worker welfare reform is a global issue. All nations in the world suffer from it. No doubts, being the hosts of the World Cup meant that there was a specific spotlight on us. A spotlight that highlighted, 1, the commitment that the state of Qatar had before the World Cup, but 2, also a spotlight that accelerated the reform that we had committed to as a nation. Over the years, of course, we've come under severe scrutiny and severe criticism. Some of it has been constructive, and we welcome that criticism. Others, unfortunately, had ulterior motives, or part of an ulterior campaign. Nevertheless, the latest decision that the ILO had made in recognition of the commitment the state of Qatar has made in reforms for the worker welfare, I think is a testimony, as I said, to the recognition of our commitment. The statements that have been made by NGOs recognizing the work and the reform is a testimony to our commitment. But this does not mean that the road is ended. This does not mean that our journey has come to an end. There's still a lot more work to be done on worker welfare reform. Our commitment is never ending. We will continue day by day improving the worker welfare standards and improving and ensuring that we safeguard the safety, security, dignity, and health and well-being of every person working on the projects and at the same time working in the state of Qatar.
And just very quickly to wrap up, is there anything that you feel is absolutely essential that the football fans understand and know, not only about the World Cup, but about your country, Qatar?
What I'd like them to know is that I think the world of football, I think it's important to point out, for those that don't know the passion that the Middle East has and the Arab world has and Qatar has, that we are very much a footballing nation. We are very much a football-loving region. Football is, when we're born, it's part of our DNA. It is a way of life. It is not a hobby that we have. And because of that, we understand very well the transformative power that this World Cup has, that this great game has. And because of that, we welcome the world in 2022 to come to experience the Middle East, to experience the Arab world, to experience our people, and for our people to experience the outside world, and for us to break down the stereotypes. This is the perfect opportunity. This is the perfect platform to break down the stereotypes that I think have been built for far too long, and for us to be able to celebrate our differences and enjoy our common humanity.
For this particular World Cup, each stadium has been designed to pay homage to the culture and traditions of Qatari life. But it's this one, the Thumama Stadium, that stands out as one of the most emblematic of the Arab world.
This is not your average stadium, not just because it's being built to mirror the traditional Arabian skull cap, but also for its technological and creative innovations. The Thumama Stadium has been designed by a Qatari architect, but it's being built in a joint venture worth $342 million with Turkish construction company Tekfen.
For Tekfen, it is the third stadium that's being built. The first one was Istanbul Atatürk Olympic Stadium. Second was Bakü Olympic Stadium, and this is the Thumama Stadium, which is the, of course, most important one, as it is a World Cup stadium.
And the symbolic design of the Garfiya will aim to unite Arabs and Muslims as a tribute to the first Middle Eastern World Cup.
Our design is unique, as it is designed of Garfiya. It's a kind of hat which the Arabic people, mostly children, are using. So it's a very unique stadium for Arabic world, and it will be a trademark, a landmark for them.
In keeping with environmental sustainability, it will be made mostly from recycled materials. The stadium will also include an advanced cooling system to protect players and spectators from the heat. But the fun won't stop with football matches. The area surrounding the stadium will also feature boutique hotels, sports clubs, businesses and various amenities for locals to use long after the World Cup passes through.
When the World Cup will be finished, the stadium will be used as a club stadium, sport complex. Its capacity is 40,000, and in legacy mode it will be reduced to 20,000, and it will be used as a sport complex together with all swimming pools, training pitches, other facilities, and there will be a boutique hotel as well within the stadium and a sports clinic.
So it would seem that fans will have plenty to enjoy when they turn up at the Thumama Stadium in 5 years' time. But there have been plenty of human and political issues in stadium construction to overcome, some that are still ongoing.
These political issues or anything related to the blockade in Qatar, it's been a benefit for us, I would say. It's affected us in a positive way. We do have different resources right now. We do have different support from different countries. We even have got different quality, I would say, from the things that we were going to bring it from these countries in order to have the technology implemented within our stadiums or anything related to the system that we will use. Now we're dealing with the different countries, different technology, having different prices and qualities, more than what we used to have before. So I would say this have a positive, negative in Qatar. The response is I will let anyone to visit our construction site and our accommodations, labor accommodation. They will find it perfectly fitted for them. As I have stated, we have 8 stadiums right now. This number is still with the FIFA, but we're going ahead with those 8 stadiums. The legacy use of those stadiums is in place from the design stage. Different stadiums have different legacy use. Some of them, or some of those stadiums, are non-sport legacy use, which is good for the community, for the people in Qatar to utilize these facilities, either the stadium or stadium precincts, and enjoy using those stadiums not only for sport events, but social events also.
When you have the best football players in the world playing at a top-class stadium, you expect only the best, and that includes the grass they play on, which is why organisers of Qatar 2022 are confident their playing fields will strike a chord with fans and players alike, and that it'll be nothing short of pitch perfect.
This is not your normal pitch, because this isn't normal grass. This is grass royalty. Just a few kilometres away from the Al Khalifa Stadium in Doha, the 2022 World Cup organisers have set up a state-of-the-art research and development centre with only one goal: to develop the best football pitch suited to Qatar's scorching hot climate. The facility includes a root zone trial area where various types of grass are being tested in different conditions, including different types of shading or even with reduced water consumption.
Even by colors we are different, you know, and you can see these patches because this is a part of the test that we are doing. So from here we can see that this line, for example, is not good, so we have to change it and go for another variant, you know. So it's like continuously we are testing and testing, and it takes us like 2 years now, and we tested like most of the turf in the world.
At the Research and Development Centre, they've tested many varieties. Now they can proudly say they have what they call the Qatar 2022 grass.
We have a lot of football teams that they are visiting Qatar every year, and believe me, almost 99.9% of the comments which we had, it's just like you have a good turf. You know?
But how can they maintain quality through the high temperatures of summer in the desert? And will it be a problem for the World Cup matches?
Good news that the World Cup will not be in the summer here. It will be in the winter, in November, actually the same day after 5 years. But even in the summer, I need to tell you guys, our grass is perfect in the summer because we have a summer grass. So what we are using in the winter time or during the World Cup, it will be a grass that can stand the heat and the cold.
The grass receives about 6 millimetres of water a day during the milder months and 12 millimetres daily during the hotter parts of the year. During the summer, that's about the equivalent of 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of water.
If there's anyone who will want to make sure the pitch is perfect, it's Xavi Hernandez. The former World Cup winner and Barcelona captain has spent the last few years playing for local side Al Sadd and is one of the ambassadors for 2022. We caught up with the footballing legend to get his take on it all.
Bueno, pues experiencia totalmente positiva. Primero a nivel personal, porque el país nos ha dado muchísimas cosas. Tenemos una vida muy feliz aquí, estamos contentos de estar en Qatar. Esta es mi tercera temporada como futbolista, a gusto en el club. Hemos conseguido títulos el año pasado, estoy contento, estamos siendo un equipo competitivo en una liga quizá menor que en Europa, pero sigo disfrutando del fútbol, mi familia está feliz. Aporto mi experiencia a las nuevas generaciones de futbolistas de Qatar para que puedan ser competitivos en el Mundial 2022, que es el gran objetivo de este país. Todo el mundo está pendiente del fútbol. Me encuentro muy feliz, realmente tengo que agradecer mucho al país, a Qatar, me han dado muchísimas cosas y me gustaría seguir, ¿por qué no?, hasta el Mundial con ellos, de cualquier manera, para ayudarles a ser competitivos, ¿no?, a intentar hacer un buen Mundial. Me gustaría, hombre, lo que tengo claro es que quiero ser entrenador, esto lo tengo claro. Y luego, como he dicho a tus compañeros, vamos a ver el timing cómo se da, tengo que todavía sacarme el carnet, pero tengo la idea clara de ser entrenador. Luego vamos a ver cómo van los timings, pero sí que me gustaría ayudarles a este país, a Qatar, a ser competitivos y me gustaría estar cerca del fútbol, ¿no?, cerca de los futbolistas. Yo estoy trabajando con el Supreme Committee aquí, del Mundial. Yo creo que se están organizando muy bien, están yendo rápidos, están pendientes de todos los detalles. Los estadios van a ser una maravilla y va a ser un Mundial atípico, ¿no?, porque va a ser en diciembre, el futbolista va a estar mejor preparado, en mejor forma, luego no hay que viajar, puedes ver todos los partidos prácticamente del día. Va a ser un Mundial extraordinario, creo, va a ser un Mundial histórico. Orgulloso de cómo están llevando a cabo la organización y creo que están muy preparados para llevar este evento. Albergar un mundial pues es importantísimo para el país, ¿no?, para todo el Golfo, diría, no solo para Qatar. Creo que es muy bueno para todos, ¿no? Aparte, yo creo que Qatar es un país muy nuevo y les va a venir muy bien también para madurar como país, ¿no?, ya no solo a nivel deportivo, sino a nivel de infraestructuras y de organización, ¿no? Creo que va a ser muy positivo para ellos.
So while Qatar is trying to earn itself a name in the football books, it's rapidly become one of the best places in the world for sports medicine. Qatar is one of only 5 hospitals of its kind. And while it may have been a well-kept secret from most of the general public, it's been the go-to place for elite athletes everywhere, including some of your favorite stars.
The World Cup may not be landing in Doha for another 5 years, but organisers in Qatar say that their wealthy emirate already has the specialised medical care needed to handle any sports injuries that may arise. Since opening in 2007, Qatar has offered specialised orthopaedic and sports medicine to a growing clientele, and it's been noticed. In 2009, it was credited as a FIFA Medical Centre of Excellence, and later in 2014, it was given the nod as an IOC Research Centre for Prevention of Injury and Protection of Athlete Health.
Sports medicine, orthopedic surgery, radiology, nutrition, podiatry, rehabilitation, education, research. So all these are multidisciplinary units and work in an harmony.
As a result, athletes from around the world have come here to Doha to get better. Sports stars like PSG midfielder Angel Di Maria and four-time Olympic gold medalist Mo Farah.
We've had the Ivory Coast national team, we've had the Algerian national team, all in preparation for the last World Cup. And that was great to see them actually here and help them with a few problems, and then see them on the big stage. We see athletes, local athletes from a wide range of sports, and we see Premier League footballers coming in as well.
And while here, visiting athletes often take advantage of one of the most popular features on offer.
Altitude rooms. Altitude rooms are providing an environment like you are living in 1,000 meters or 2,000 meters high. At night you sleep over there, so the body is responding to increase the blood cells there, then you train better.
Qatar is a part of what's called the Aspire Zone. That includes the Aspire Academy, which helps developing male athletes aged 12 to 18 while also providing them with an education. It's one of the biggest and most selective of its kind in the world, but the academy has also been criticised. The German newspaper Bild has reported that the academy was used to manipulate votes for the 2022 bid, which Qatar denies. Bild based its report on an investigation by a former FIFA ethics investigator, Michael Garcia. Other international media outlets have reported that Qatar had tried to buy its way into success in the sports world by naturalising foreign talent. Young athletes are professionally trained here with the ultimate goal that one day they will represent the national team in their respective sport. But whichever way you look at it, the academy and Qatar can be expected to keep attracting some of the world's top athletic talent, both young and old, no matter what anyone says.
So we've seen a wide range of perspectives about the current situation in Qatar and the event organisers find themselves in. But what about the people who live here? Mutaz Barshim is a top Qatari athlete and speaks on behalf of his fellow countrymen about what hosting this event means to the nation.
I mean, it's amazing. It's 10 years ago, if you tell somebody about Qatar, I'll be like, what? Nah, World Cup? No. But I mean, today's reality, and that just shows that nothing's impossible. If you really dedicated yourself to something and some object and work hard for it, you could achieve it. And I mean, this is great. This is the first time the World Cup gonna be not only in Qatar, in that region. I mean, imagine the legacy that's gonna leave. That's what we need to globalize the sport, not just limited to some places, some people. The sport is for everyone, so we need to do that. I will be happy after Doha we see the World Cup somewhere in Africa and somewhere in, in any part of the world, because that's what we need to globalize it. We need to inspire people. We need to give them this life feeling, the legacy, the atmosphere that they're gonna, live it, not only through TV. You have to leave this to really spark the youth and the young generation. So I'm really happy that Doha is hosting the World Cup. It's been exciting since the announcement. Of course, it's been like, maybe people think it's far. No, it's not far. There is no time. It's really gonna be quick. And everybody, as I said, it leaves some responsibility to everyone. We are the host. We need to make sure that this event gonna be successful. Either we take some role in helping, like building or whatever it is, some main role, whether you're just a citizen, we have to welcome everybody and feel like, hey, let's go and, let's share this love of sport together. So I think everybody's there is really exciting. Every now and then, whenever I have a conversation, the World Cup pops up and people are really excited for that event.
Well, that's it from us here in Doha. Thank you very much for joining us on this special Qatar 2022 edition of Beyond the Game. We hope that you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you back in Istanbul.
presented by Turkish Airlines.